Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivakadhyara Sasimat. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Guru Paramparada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda Hari Hari Bo. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Parakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dhina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Govika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Brindavanishwari Prishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, chapter 6, verse 25, correct? Pachis. So, huh?
Here it is 31. 31.
What is it?
30, yesterday already 30 finished.
Oh, okay, 31. Today 31. Okay, fair enough. All right. So, please repeat. Sarva bhutastitam yomam bhakyate ekatvam astita savata vardhamano pi sayogi mai vartate sarvabhutastitam yomam bhajati ekatvam astita savata vatmano pisa sa yogi mai vartate savabhutastitam yomam bhajati ekatvam astita savata vatamanopi sa yogi mai vartate savabhutastitam yomam bhajati ekatvam astita savata vatamanopi sa yogi maim vartate. Okay.
Sarvabhutastitam yomam bhajate kattam astitah sarvata vartamanopi sa yogi mai vartate
Sarvabhutastitam yomam bhajati kattam astitah Sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate
सर्वभूतस्थितं यो मां भजते कत्वम् आस्थिता सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि स योगी मयि वर्तते
Sarvabhutastitam yomam bhajate ekatva astita Sarvavat Vatmanopi Sayogi Mai Vartate Sarvabhuta Stitam Yomam Bhagiji Ekatvam Astita Sarvata Vatamanopi Sayogi Mai Vartate. Okay, word for word, please repeat. Sarvabhuta Stitam. Situated in everyone's heart. Yaha. He who. Mam. Me. Bhajati. Serves in devotional service. Ekatvam. In oneness. Astita. Situated. Sarvata. In all respects. Vartamana. Being situated. Api. In spite of. Saha. He. Yogi. The transcendentalist. Mai. In me. Vartate. Remains. So, translation Srila Prabhupada. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. Please repeat. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. Yes. Sachi, your English is becoming very good. So, purport Srila Prabhupada. A yogi who is practicing meditation on the Supersoul sees within himself the plenary portion of Krishna as Vishnu, with 4 hands holding conch shell, wheel, club and lotus flower. The yogi should know that Vishnu is not different from Krishna. Krishna in this form of the Supersoul is situated in everyone's heart. Furthermore, there is no difference between the innumerable Supersouls present in the innumerable hearts of living entities. Nor is there a difference between a Krishna-conscious person always engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the Supersoul. The yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence, remains always situated in Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12187 of Srila Rupa Goswami. Nikelaswa api avashtasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. A devotee of the Lord, always acting in Krishna consciousness, is automatically liberated. In the Narada Pancharatra, this is confirmed in this way. Dik kaladi anavachine Krishne cheta vidhaya cha tanmayo bhavati shipram jivo brahmani yojayet. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who is all-pervading and beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. Krishna consciousness is the high stage of trance in yoga practice. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless. The Vedas, Gopal Tapani Upanishad 121, confirms this inconceivable potency of the Lord as follows. Ekopi san bahudha yo vabhati. Although the Lord is one, he is present in innumerable hearts as many. Similarly, in the Smriti Shastra it is said, Eka eva paro Vishnu sarvavati na samshayaha. Aishwadhya rupam ekam cha suryavat bahu jayate. Vishnu is one, and yet he is certainly all-pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere, as the sun appears in many places at once. That's an interesting, yes. The sun is in one place, but we see the sun in many places. Of course, Krishna is beyond material logic and conditioning. So, Makam karochi vachalam pangam laite grim yad kripa tamaham bande shri guru dinatarinam savabhuta stitam yomam bhajati ekatvam ashtita savata vatamanopi sa yogi mai vatate. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipable service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. Yes, so earlier Krishna was talking, become situated in Brahman, become situated in the soul. Then he was saying you have to offer your duties to Vishnu. So somebody may, Vishnu in the temple. But now Krishna is coming a bit further along and he's saying, Vishnu is just not in the temple, he's in your heart. And he's also saying that Vishnu is in the heart of everyone. And though Supersoul is one, he has many, many places. So, as it was said there, that the Supreme Lord is beyond material time and place. He's transcendental. And his potency is the source of all potencies or shaktis that we see in this world, but he's not bound by logic or argument or shakti. So he can be one Supersoul, but be in many persons' hearts. We may find some tension in that statement, but that is because we are here, we're not there. You are there, you're not there. You are there, you are not there. So Krishna is everywhere, but he's in one place. Because we are experiencing that in the material world. But Krishna, Supreme Lord, he is not conditioned in that way. He can be everywhere all at once. So that is one aspect of Achintya Bhed Abhed. But here we're talking about Supersoul. So earlier verse, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So we have Supersoul in our heart, but we should see Supersoul in everyone else's heart. And we are meditating Supersoul in our heart, but we should also meditate on the Supersoul in everybody's heart. We are Spirit Soul, you are Spirit Soul, you are Spirit. I have Supersoul in my heart, but you have Supersoul in your heart also. And not only that, in the dog, hog, camel, ass, the Supersoul is everywhere. So we should expand our understanding of Supersoul and Supreme Lord. And that's what we'll talk about. I've got some good information here. So, like I say, Krishna is taking Arjuna, okay, worship Vishnu with your activities. But now he's saying, don't forget the internal aspect of your spiritual practice. You'll always remember the Supersoul within. And the Supersoul within other living entities. So, first point is that I and the Supersoul are one, Krishna says. So we all know the verse, so I put it. Vedanta tattva vidas tattvam yogyanam avyayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti savyate. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2-11. Very famous verse, right? Everyone has heard it. Learned transcendentalist, Vedanta Tattva Vidas, those that know the truth. Welcome. Those that know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance. So it's not divided, non-dual. Right? What is the word in the Sanskrit? Avyam. It is not divided into Bhagavan, Super Soul and Brahman. It is one substance, but is different aspects of that. Call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Now there's a very interesting aspect here. Those that know the absolute truth, Tattva Vidas, the Tattva, Param Tattva. Now what could you say is missing when Krishna says Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan? This is Purusha, right? Bhagavan is Purusha. But there is also Prakriti,
Yes.
Paraprakriti. But you see in this, Vedanta Tattva Vidas, those that know the absolute truth see Purusha is the absolute truth. Because Prakriti is the energy, it is the emanation of the absolute truth. So here, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining that the absolute source, just like Krishna will say later in the Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pravartate. Everything material and spiritual emanates from me. So that means from me, the Purusha. Radharani is Paraprakriti. The Astashakis, they're Paraprakriti. The Manjaris, all the devotees, they are Shakti, they are emanation from Purusha. So that is in theistic, that is in Kapila teaching to Devahuti, 3rd canto, chapter 25, 26, that Sankhya philosophy means Purusha and Prakriti. And often it is, the explanation is given just like in a chickpea. You take the skin off and there's two halves to a chickpea. So Purusha and Prakriti, they are non-different. But we should understand that the Purusha is the source. And so we can understand too, in the Ras Leela, do you remember Radharani and Krishna, they left the Ras Leela. And then Radharani said, oh, carry me, Krishna. She was feeling, but then Krishna disappeared. Why? Because Krishna has Prakriti within himself. So, but this is on the level of very high Leela. But we should understand that Krishna is always Purnam. He's always complete. But he expands as Radharani. He expands as all the Shaktis. He expands as the Jiva Shakti, as the material, the Pradhan, which becomes the material Prakriti. He expands all of these things and lives, and this all stimulates his own personality. Just like last week we gave the example that a musician, he may be a master musician, but when he plays music, it stimulates him and he develops new musical ideas and he sings Jai Radha Madhava a little differently. He expands. So the whole creation is ecstatic, not static. Static means Om Brahman, impersonal. No. Krishna is both static, Brahman, impersonal energy if you like, but it is his personal effulgence, so ultimately it's not impersonal, but he also expands as super soul to regulate particularly the material world. Super soul is not in Goloka, is there as Paramatma in the material world, but he's supervising the material energy, but in the spiritual world, he's there as Bhagavan and as Brahman effulgence. So there is that verse, right? Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pahitam mukam. Oh Krishna, remove your golden effulgence, your Brahmajyoti, so I can see your form of bliss. So this is very important. Yes, Krishna is effulgent. The sun is effulgent, Krishna is effulgent. This principle runs together. So, this introduction, if you like, to Bhagavan, there's Brahman, Paramatma, Brahman, yes, Brahmajyoti, effulgence, then there is Paramatma, and then there's Bhagavan. So Bhagavan means the possessor of all opulence. So we go from Brahman, or ideas of spirituality in a wider sense, to another sense of the Supreme Lord, not as in a wider sense of energy, but in a wider sense as a person, right? Brahman, you can say, is all pervasive. Oh, that's right. But his personal form is also all pervasive. So, as I said before, there is in the Uddhava Gita, there is a very nice description of the Super Soul form. Now, of course, Bhagavad Gita is the summary of everything, and the expansion of the Gita is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is also information that Krishna is explaining the yoga system. Sit down, do all your breathing exercises, pratyahara, then jhana, then dharana, then samadhi. Now we're going to hear in this how to attain samadhi, which we've already got a hint of in the last 5-10 minutes. So, here is Krishna's instruction to the Uddhava Gita, to Uddhava rather. Excuse me. Keeping the eyes half closed and fixed on the tip of one's nose. Now the tip of one's nose doesn't mean that. Sometimes people say, I should concentrate. No, the tip of the nose is the Agya chakra. So actually, if you learn how to pull the prana upwards, you can actually feel a physical sensation in this chakra. You will feel like a little touching. You will know it when it happens. You can actually pull the prana up to here, the tip of the nose, where the chakra is, Agyan chakra. So, with eyes half closed and fixed on the tip of the nose, being enlivened and alert, one should meditate. Now, this is the description of Super Soul. On the lotus flower situated within the heart. So we're concentrating here, and we're concentrating our energy here, and then we're meditating now on Krishna within the heart. This lotus has 8 petals and is situated on a erect lotus stalk, on the stem. So it's not just a lotus flower that you're meditating on, you're actually meditating on the stem. One should meditate on the sun, moon and fire, placing them one after the other, first sun, then moon, then fire, within the whirl of that lotus flower. The whirl is the center. You know, every flower has a whirl. It's an English word. It means the center, you know, where the petals kind of spin out of. So you place the sun, moon and fire within that 8-petal lotus. Placing my transcendental form within the fire, one should meditate upon it as the auspicious goal of all meditation. Right? To realize the form. Like I say, we want to go from Brahman or conceptions or spiritual, everything is Brahmavadi. We want to go to the form. Placing my transcendental form within the fire, one should meditate upon it as the auspicious goal of all meditation. Now here's the description. That form is perfectly proportioned, gentle and cheerful. So Krishna is very gentle and cheerful. It possesses 4 beautiful long arms, Paramatma, a charming, beautiful neck, a handsome forehead, a pure smile, and glowing shark-shaped earrings suspended from 2 identical ears. That spiritual form is of the color of a dark rain cloud and is garbed in golden yellowish silk. The chest of that form is the abode of Shrivats and the goddess of fortune. And that form is also decorated with a conch shell, disc, club, lotus flower, and garland of forest flowers. Krishna is a forest man. He's from Vrindavan. He's not a town man. He's a country man. The 2 brilliant lotus feet are decorated with ankle bells and bracelets, and that form exhibits the Kaustubha gem along with an effulgent crown. The upper hips are beautified by a golden belt, and the arms are decorated with valuable bracelets. All the limbs of that beautiful form capture the heart, and the face is beautified by merciful glancing. Pulling the senses back from the sense objects, the material sense objects, one should be grave and self-controlled and use the intelligence to strongly fix the mind upon the limbs of my transcendental body. One should thus meditate upon that most delicate transcendental form of mind. So you see, this is expansion of the Gita. So here it is. This is the meditation on Paramatma. Now, one should then pull the consciousness back from all the limbs of that transcendental body of the Supersoul. At that time, one should meditate only on the wonderfully smiling face of the Lord. So first you establish the lotus flower, then the moon, sun, and then the form and everything. And then you concentrate on the smiling face of the Lord. Being established in meditation on the Lord's face, one should then withdraw the consciousness and fix it in the sky. I'll say that again. This is the interesting thing. Being established in meditation on the Lord's face, one should then withdraw the consciousness and fix it in the sky. Then, giving up such meditation, one should become established in me and give up the process of meditation altogether. So you start from Supersoul, then you go to the face of the Lord, which is Supersoul, but then you see Krishna in the whole creation. So this is like when we are in a tent, we are in our own little world. So we can meditate on the Supersoul, yes, but outside the tent is the universe. So we should not just meditate on Krishna in the heart, but we should meditate upon Krishna in the universe. Now here's the same point. One who has completely fixed his mind on me should see me within his own soul and should see the individual soul within me. Right? So you see Krishna within your soul and your soul within Krishna. So you're not separate from Krishna, you're within Krishna, and Krishna's within your soul. So these are all contemplations for our meditation. We see this. And then we come to realization, the Supreme Personality of Godhead within. Thus he sees the individual souls. Now the explanation, the individual souls, all the souls of the universe, united with the Supreme Soul. So you first of all unite your own soul with the Super Soul, and you unite the Super Soul with yourself, and then you unite all the individual souls with the Super Soul. Thus he sees the individual souls of the universe united with the Supreme Soul, just as one sees the sun's rays completely united with the sun. So the Super Soul is there, example is given, just like the Paramatma is just like the soul, the sun, but then all the rays of the sun are there, and this is all united. So one is seeing the Super Soul and oneself within, and all the other individual souls within the Super Soul, and then the Super Soul within all souls. So this is a contemplation, a vision given by Bhagavatam. When the yogi thus controls his mind by intensely concentrated meditation, his illusory identification with material objects, like this body, knowledge and activities, is very quickly extinguished. So, that is Krishna's explanation to Uddhava. Now we've all heard that before, because later on Arjuna is going to say something, this method of yoga is very difficult, Krishna. To control the mind is like controlling the wind. Please tell me some system by which I can perform this more easily. Especially I've got to fight on the battlefield. So yes, you're saying Super Soul, but I have to see the universe within the Super Soul and then do my duty. So, after a couple of chapters, this is the Uddhava Gita. There is a very wonderful explanation by Krishna to Uddhava on chapter 29, Bhakti Yoga. I took it out and printed it for convenience. So what does Uddhava say? He says almost the same thing as Arjuna. My dear Achyuta, I fear that the method of yoga described by you is very difficult, for one cannot control his mind. Therefore, please explain to me in simple terms how someone can more easily execute this practice. So we've read this, and now Uddhava is saying, yeah, it's very good, and see the Super Soul, and then see the face, and then expand my vision into the whole universe, and seeing all the souls within Krishna, and the Krishna within all the souls. But is there a more simple way? Second verse of the chapter. O lotus-eyed Lord, generally those yogis who try to steady the mind experience frustration because of their inability to perfect the state of trance, of samadhi. Thus they weary in their attempt to bring the mind under control. So yes, many people, they meditate on Super Soul and they may even have this knowledge, but the material senses, or the wife is cooking dinner, or there's some problem, or the neighbors are singing, or there's a marriage there's a marriage procession in the road, and I can't remember the Super Soul when they're going so this is the material world. Okay, so Krishna says, okay. So then Uddhava says nice things to Uddhava, and then Krishna starts to give this is a few verses, you can read all that. Now, but there's a very interesting verse, number 4. After all, during your appearance as Lord Ramchandra, even while great demigods like Brahma were vying to place the lotus tips of their helmets upon the cushion where your lotus feet, you displayed special affection for monkeys such as Hanuman, because they had taken exclusive shelter of you. So he's giving a hint there. Yes, and then the next verse. You are the Supreme Lord, the supreme object to worship, and you give all possible perfections to the devotees who take shelter of you. So Uddhava is giving us a hint. How to overcome the difficulties of this samadhi meditation, right? That I'm sitting there meditating, but I'm distracted. But then Uddhava is saying, but you give perfection to Hanuman. You give perfection. Not by meditation, but ultimately you, Krishna, will give me perfection. So that is the thing. We are doing bhakti, but ultimately the perfection comes to us from Krishna. So this is a very important principle in bhakti. We don't think independently, I will attain Krishna, but no, Krishna will accept my tapasya and take me to perfection. So then, thus questioned, Krishna answered. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, yes, I shall describe to you the principle of devotion to you, by executing which a mortal human being will conquer unconquerable death. You become liberated. Always remembering me, one should perform all his duties for me, manmana bhava madbhakto, madhyadya, without becoming impetuous. With mind and intelligence offered to me, one should fix his mind in attraction to my devotional service. So now Krishna is giving him service. Do some active service. We don't just meditate, but we also want to employ our abilities in the service of Krishna. So there's a good hint there. One should take shelter of holy places where my saintly devotees reside, and one should be guided by the exemplary activities of my devotees, acharyas, who appear among the demigods, demons, and human beings. So devotees, acharyas, they appear in this world to give good example. Either alone or in public gatherings, with singing, dancing, other exhibitions of royal opulence, one should arrange to celebrate those holy days, ceremonies, and festivals set aside especially for my service. So now he's giving this, what we're practicing, right? We follow Ekadashi, we follow the holy days, we live together and we meditate together. With a pure heart, one should see me. Now this is the point. Krishna comes back to that earlier point about expanding from your own meditation of Supersoul to expanding on the Supersoul everywhere and all souls within the Supersoul. With a pure heart, one should see me, the Supreme Soul, within all beings and also within oneself, to be both unblemished by anything material and also present everywhere, both externally and internally, like the omnipresent sky. Vasudeva Savamite, one should see that. O brilliant Uddhava, one who thus views all living entities with the idea that I am present within each of them, and who by taking shelter of this divine knowledge offers due respect to everyone, is considered actually wise. So what did Lord Chaitanya say? Amanina, manina, mainina. Don't expect respect, but give respect to everyone. This is what Krishna is telling Uddhava. Same basic principle. See all living entities within Supersoul and Supersoul within all living entities. Such a man sees equally the Brahmana and outcast. Pandita Samadashina. You know this verse? The thief and the charitable promoter of Brahminical culture, the sun and the tiny sparks of fire, the gentle and the cruel. Pandita Samadashina. For him who constantly meditates upon my presence within all persons, right? Every living entity. You can sit under the tree in the temple and you can see the upadhi. This is a fat lady, this is a fat man, this is a little boy, this is that. You see the upadhis, but no. Krishna is saying, don't sit in the temple and see different people from Lucknow or Delhi or Orissa. See them as spirit souls within material bodies. For him who constantly meditates upon my presence within all persons, the bad tendency of rivalry, envy and abusiveness, along with false ego, are very quickly destroyed. So, if you see that Krishna is within the heart of everyone, with this pure vision, then your material matsarya, your illusion and your matsarya will be gone, because you'll see the soul. And because you're thinking in a spiritual way, then the material conditioning, lust, anger, greed, matsarya, proud and illusion, this will be gone, because now your consciousness is seeing Krishna. But not necessarily in Goloka, but Krishna within the heart of all living entities. So this is practical. We're not talking about, meditate on Krishna in Goloka. No, Krishna within the heart of all living entities. This is face-to-face meditation. As they say in India, hand to hand. Right, this is direct. And listen to what Krishna says now. Disregarding the ridicule of one's companions, one should give up the bodily conception and its accompanying embarrassment. One should offer obeisances before all, even the dogs, outcasts, cows and asses, falling flat upon the ground like a rod. So this is what the 6 Goswamis actually did, is it not? They used to pay thousands of obeisances. So Krishna is saying, this is what you should do. You have Krishna in the heart. I must pay obeisances to you. You are part and parcel of Krishna. I must respect you as part of the absolute truth. So you can see the vision that Krishna is describing. Now, until one has fully developed the ability to see me within all living beings, one must continue to worship me by this process with the activities of his speech, mind and body. By such transcendental knowledge of the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is able to see the absolute truth everywhere. Thus, freed from all doubts, one gives up fruitive activities. Now, this is the very important and very striking verse. Krishna says, indeed, stress, indeed, really? What indeed? I consider this process, using one's mind, words, and bodily functions, paying obeisances, for realizing me within all living beings, to be the best possible method of spiritual enlightenment. I'll say that again. The best possible method of spiritual enlightenment. To realize Krishna within the heart of all living entities is the best, this is Krishna, not me. Krishna is saying that is the best possible method of spiritual enlightenment. That is amazing, is it not? Because we're always saying, what's the best idea? This is what Uddhava said. It's a bit, that's very good, Krishna, but make it a little more simple. Realize me within the heart of all living entities. My dear Uddhava, because I have personally established this process of devotional service unto me is transcendental and free from any material motivation. Certainly a devotee never suffers even the slightest loss by adopting this process. O Uddhava, greatest of saints, in a dangerous situation, an ordinary person cries, becomes fearful, laments, although such useless emotions do not change the situation. But activities offered to me, Madhyaji, without percival motivation, even if they are externally useless, amount to the actual process of religion. So if you just even offer an apple or a flower or a fruit, that is the actual process of religion. So it's not difficult. Realizing Krishna within the heart of everyone and offering which is externally useless. Oh, an apple or a flower or a fruit. Krishna will accept it. And this is the actual process. This process is the supreme intelligence of the intelligent and the cleverness of the most clever. For by following it, one can carry in this very life, make use of the temporary... Here's the summation. This process is the supreme intelligence of the intelligent and the cleverness of the most clever. For by following it, one can, in this very life, make use of the temporary and unreal to achieve me, the eternal reality. You see that? One can make use of the temporary and unreal. The material creation is unreal because it's temporary. And through this meditation on Krishna within the heart of all living entities within this material universe and giving respect to them as part and parcel of Krishna, you can achieve Krishna, the eternal reality. Thus I have related to you both in brief and in detail the complete survey of the science of the Absolute Truth. Even for the demigods, this science is very difficult to comprehend. I have repeatedly spoken this knowledge to you with clear reasoning. Anyone who properly understands it will become free from all doubts and attain liberation. Anyone who fixes his attention on these clear answers to your questions, my clear answer, Krishna, will attain the eternal confidential of the Vedas, goal of the Vedas, the supreme absolute truth. One who liberally disseminates this knowledge among my devotees is the bestower of the absolute truth, and to him I give my very self. So we're all engaged in the Sankirtan movement. We're giving this knowledge that Krishna is within all living entities. Krishna, the universe is within Krishna. And if we distribute this knowledge, Krishna says, to him I give my very own self. He gives himself to his devotee. Anyone who regularly listens to this knowledge with faith and attention, all the while engaging in my pure devotional service, will never become bound by the reactions of material work. My dear friend Uddhava, have you now completely understood this transcendental knowledge? Are the confusion and lamentation that arose in your mind now dispelled? You were confused about what to do? So that's very light, isn't it? You're all experts in the Gita. What does Krishna say to Arjuna at the end? He said, okay, I've explained now everything, Arjuna. Do you understand it? Have you got the idea? So he says that to Uddhava here. Huh? So, and then he explains that this knowledge is very confidential. You shouldn't give it to non-devotees. You know, it's very high-level information. So you should give it to other devotees, suitable people, people that are ready to listen. So, there we have it, the Super Soul. We meditate on Super Soul, then we meditate upon the Super Soul within all living entities, and all living entities within Krishna. We give respect to living entities, and we meditate, not necessarily as just super soul within my heart, but super soul everywhere. And that is the Vaishnava system. If you remember, Kanishtadikari, he worships the deity, the Murti. But the Vaishnava, the Madhyamadikari, because of his spiritual knowledge, because he knows Siddhanta, sees Krishna everywhere. Now, initially, we see Krishna everywhere because of knowledge, bhakti gyan, from Guru, from Krishna, from Sadhu. We get the knowledge. Shastra check. We see through Shastra. But by meditating in this way, which is the best way, eventually Krishna gives us that vision. As he said, as Uddhava reminded Krishna, you give perfection to those that take exclusive shelter of you. So this is our sadhana, meditating on Krishna within everyone. And we just wait until Krishna, we become purified, and then we see Krishna will give us that perfection. Because sometimes we may think, oh, how can it happen to me? You know, I'm not very intelligent, and I didn't pass exams, and so on and so forth. No. Hanuman is not even human being. Of course, he is one of the Rudras. But for example, right, Hanuman is the greatest devotee. He's always like this, Ram's lotus feet. Only shelter is the lotus feet of Ram. So therefore, he can defeat Ravana just like that. He could have destroyed Ravana, but he didn't. Why? Because he wanted Ram to be the hero. Rescue your wife. But Ravana, he burnt the tail of Hanuman, right? Tried to set the tail. So Hanuman went round Sri Lanka, burning Lanka. And then he sat in front of Ravana at one point, and Ravana was on the big seat, right? And then Hanuman made his tail longer and longer, so he was sitting higher than Ravana. So that is the Shakti of a devotee. Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, he couldn't even harm his little son. So once Krishna gives you perfection, you don't worry about even Ravana. So this is something to remember. Chapter 29, this Uddhava Gita, 11th canto. And that is the Vaishnava, and that is Prabhupada. He didn't see, oh, these are Westerners, and these are Indians, and these are poor, and these are smoking pot, and these are hippies. No, he saw Pandit, he saw a super soul here. Here is this living entity. And what did he do? He gave spiritual knowledge. And people, oh, that's wonderful. Srila Prabhupada, Hari Nam Sankirtan ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Anyway, any quick question? Everyone satisfied? Okay, good. So thank you all very much for your kind attention. See you next week. And remember now, right, you have practical knowledge now. So when we go out of this room, or even in this room, we can go into the temple, we can find some quiet place on the steps or under the tree, and we can sit there and think, Krishna told Uddhava to see the living entities having super soul in their heart. Right? And that is the best method. So this knowledge is practical. This is sadhana. This is abhideya. Sambandha. Abhideya practice. And then prayojan, success. Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, Vrindavan.